Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tommy. I'm a human nutrition student and researcher at the university, and my job here in this type of videos is to synthesize what I learned at the university during the classes. This time we're going to start a new series of videos about health nutrition. Today we are going to talk about sports nutrition. So let's begin. Introduction. Muscles. Yes, muscles, because sport is about using muscles. Muscle contraction. Muscle contracts by using the sarcomere and the myofibrils. The actin and the myosin are fibers that contract each other. They use calcium to do that. Muscle contraction can be done by two types of fibers. The red fibers use fat for the contraction as an energy source, and they are used for slow and steady movements, whereas white fibers, they use glycogen and they are used for sudden and fast movements. What energy source do we use during the sport activity? Well, energy substrates, we have ATP as first, then creatine phosphate. That's why people use the creatine supplements. The creatine is used for fast ATP creation. Then we have glucose by the glycolysis, then fat via beta oxidation, and then last, the protein via gluconeogenesis. The energy systems we have in our body are the anaerobic non-lactic, which uses ATP and creatine phosphate, the anaerobic lactic, which uses glucose, and then the aerobic, which uses mainly the fat one, but also the glucose one. What are the benefits of doing sport? Well, it increases the mitochondrial density, which is good. It also increases the muscle capillaries for better blood drainage to the muscles. It also increases the enzymes that convert pyruvate into lactate, and it also increases the transport proteins that bring that lactate through the Cori cycle. Well, now we need to calculate the energy expenditure. How do we do that? Using the basal metabolic rate. We have the NEAT, which is the activity we do during the day, but that doesn't count as a training program or a workout session. We use mainly Harris-Benedict formula for the basal metabolic rate, which includes the NEAT, of course. The BMR is done by this formula. You have to put the weight in kilograms, the height in centimeters, and your age in years. And then you have your basal metabolic rate. To that, you have to multiply the basal metabolic rate by the quantity of activity you do during the day, and you have the energy expenditure of your day. I mean, how many calories you burn in a day. But we also have another method, which is more accurate but less practical to do, which is using the metabolic equivalence of tasks, which is the MET. This is based on kilocalories per kilogram per hour. That means how many calories you burn doing an activity for an hour. For example, walking has a low amount of calories burned per kilogram of body weight in an hour, whereas cycling or swimming, they have a much higher MET. So the calories per minute are done by using the MET of the activity multiplied by 0.0175 multiplied by your weight in kilograms. The energy expenditure depends on the aim of the athlete. If you are, for example, a cyclist or a swimmer, it depends. The training, for example, if you are in a pre-season, during the season, or on holidays, of course, you're not going to burn the same amount of calories. And of course, it depends on the training period or the upcoming competitions. If you are near a competition, you are training differently than when you are trying to improve your performance throughout the year. So now we take a look at the macronutrients distribution of the athletes. Proteins. It is recommended to be on 1.4 to 2.3 grams per kilogram per day of proteins. This is much higher than a normal person that needs around 0.8 grams per kilogram per day. And this depends on the exercise volume that you do, the age, the body composition, of course, the total calories, the training and the physical condition of the athlete. Because it's not the same running than swimming than lifting weights. It depends. Then fats. Fats must be at least 20% of total daily calories, and it is recommended to consume them 3 to 4 hours away from training, because they can interfere with carbohydrates that are the main source of energy, and it's not recommended to put them in the pre or intra-training meals. And we have to mention that the omega-3 help reduce the inflammation, therefore they improve the injury recovery. Carbs are the main substrate for athletes nowadays, and the importance of carbs, they improve the performance in the majority of people, and these are the recommended ranges of carbohydrates to consume in a day. Again, this depends on the activity you do. For example, if you are an endurance athlete, you probably are here around 8 to 10 grams per kilogram per day. But if, for example, you are a sprinter, you are more like here around 5 grams per kilogram per day. The glycogen overcompensation is also used by endurance athletes. They just unload with carbs, they go low carb for a few days, and then they reload on carbs. They basically do low carb and then refeed, and that is supposed to overcompensate the glycogen stores, so you can store more glycogen because you become more sensitive to carbohydrates. And we have carbohydrates pre-training. It is recommended to have them 1 to 4 hours before competition, 1 to 4 grams per kilogram. Here it depends. You can choose between low glycemic index carbohydrates if you have no intra-training meal, or you can go with a high glycemic index if you have an intra-training load of carbs. And you have to avoid the high fiber food at least 1 to 2 days before the competition, because fiber difficulties the carbs absorption, and in this occasion we do not want that. Then intra-training, well, if the workout is shorter than 30 minutes, it's not necessary, but if it's more than 1 hour, it is recommended to use at least mouthwashes that are basically some water and sugar that you have to put it in your mouth and then spit it out. That way it just activates brain areas that are related to motor activity. These are the mouthwashes. And it's also recommended to combine glucose and fructose for higher absorption and higher insulin peak, so therefore carbs are absorbed faster. And then post-training, we have to follow the 4R period: restore glycogen, replace water and salts, reconstruct tissues, and rest. And it is also recommended to consume 1.2 grams per kilogram of carbs plus 0.4 grams per kilogram of proteins, because this will increase the protein synthesis and therefore recovery. Talking about water, we have hydration and dehydration. Hydration, well, we have to be hydrated during our workout or our training session. So before, we have to have a clear urine at least 4 hours before. During the training, we have to consume 0.5 to 0.7 liters per hour of an isotonic drink. And after, the 150 to 200% of the lost weight, and we have to consume it slightly hypertonic. For example, with sodium at 1 to 1.2 grams per liter. And then we have to mention that carbs, sodium and potassium help the intestinal water absorption. So we have to basically drink the water, the hypertonic water, with the post-training meal. The ice slurry can be also used 1 hour before the competition because it lowers the temperature, and lower temperature equals lower exhaustion during the training. Dehydration. We can reach the rhabdomyolysis, which is muscle damage. And we do not want that, of course not. It releases the contents of the muscle fibers or the muscle cells into the bloodstream. And these are, for example, the creatine phosphokinase, the GOT and GPT, and myoglobin. We can find these in the bloodstream when we are dehydrated, and it's something really dangerous that we do not want to have. Then moving on, we have the diets and sports performance. Vegetarian diet, well, we have to find high protein vegetable food because we are lacking the meat. That's a good source of proteins. The omega-3, that they need to come from walnuts and flax seeds, but also from supplementation. And of course, we need the vitamin B12 or cyanocobalamin supplementation. Talking about the keto diet and the intermittent fasting, the keto diet is 75% fat, 20% proteins, and 5% carbs. You need at least 2 weeks of keto adaptation, but since the majority of people are not used to this way of dealing with energy sources, because you're going to use fat for energy here, mainly, not carbs, you have lower glycogen and therefore lower performance in the majority of athletes. In intermittent fasting, we have the 16-8, the 18-6, or the 24. These are hours fasting, and these are hours in which we can eat. And this has been shown to lower the performance or no change at all. I have to mention that using intermittent fasting, it can be beneficial because it's more for a long-term goal. In fact, you can regain the performance after getting used to this method of eating. Then we talk about supplementation. So supplementation is a controversial topic because many people tend to follow a poor diet and then supplement with a lot of things, which is not healthy. So we need to focus first on food quality, sustainability, our calories and macros and micros, of course, and the meal distribution. And then we will worry about supplementations. Supplements are divided in 4 groups, which are the group A, which are the authorized. These are the sports food, for example, the medical supplementation or the performance supplementation. Then the B group, which is the one with little evidence, and the C group, which there is no evidence at all, and the D group, which are the prohibited. Talking about the group A, the most common ones are the caffeine, which helps with lowering the effort perception, and you have to cycle the caffeine because you get used to it at some point, so you have to get some periods without consuming caffeine to gain the effect again, because overconsumption of caffeine can be also not beneficial to our health. Then talking about beta-alanine and bicarbonate, they help the athlete to reduce acidosis in the muscle and therefore continue the stress on the muscle for much longer time. The nitrates, for example, the beetroot juice, which has a lot of nitrates, they lower the oxygen utilization and therefore they provide more blood supply to it and also vasodilation. So nitrates, beetroot juice, they help us using oxygen better. Then creatine, we talked about creatine at the beginning of this video. It is meant for ATP creation, and you can supplement with creatine either by using 20 grams per day for 5 days, or the recommended one, which I will suggest you to follow if you want, which is 5 grams a day for 3 to 4 weeks. And then glycerol, which help with hyperhydration via the reabsorption of water in the lumen of the intestine. Okay, so this is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry I don't have the camera in this type of videos here, but I'm not at home right now, so sorry for that. You can find this diagram in my website in clicking the first link in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed and you understood everything I said. If you have any doubts, there is a comment section down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends and family. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!